Good evening, all. Good evening, good evening, all. Welcome to your favorite Mr. GST's lecture. We were discussing registration, and then after that, we started discussing RCM supplies, and we are done with what are the supplies covered under RCM, right? So, today we'll start with section 7. It is what is supply, right? So, we'll discuss in brief what is section 7 supply, and then we'll go with composite supply and mixed supply so that the concepts may help you in solving some MCQs kind of problems and other some small theory questions in the descriptive section. So today our agenda will be section 7, 8, and then going with section 10 composition scheme, and then finally returns. Clear? And if time permits, we'll go with some important exemptions as well. That is our agenda for the day, right? So without wasting the time, let us proceed into section 7. What is section 7, my dear friends? What is section 7?
Supply, sir.
Section 7 is all about supply. So please understand, in any taxation law for that matter, there will be a taxable event. There will be a taxable event. What do you mean by taxable event? Taxable event means the event on occurrence of which the levy of tax shall happen. That means to tax a transaction, the transaction should fit within meaning of a particular thing. That means, for example, let us take excise duty. Excise duty, when excise duty was levied, is levied, of course. So if you see excise duty, what is the taxable event, my dear friends? What is the taxable event? When you can levy excise duty? When there is a manufacture, of any product, obviously you will impose excise duty. So when we can levy customs duty? When there is import export, we can levy customs duty. That means, what is the taxable event? On happening of what we can impose tax? That is what we call as taxable event. So under GST, what is the taxable event, my dear friends? What is the taxable event under GST? It is supply. Taxable event under GST is what? Supply. Very, 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 very important topic. Not from exam point of view, at least like overall understanding of GST. Please understand, any transaction to get taxed, that should fit within the meaning of supply. Suppose, let us assume I am taking free lectures for you. Whether GST can be imposed on that transaction? Vishnu providing services of what? Taking free lectures for the students. On this transaction, whether GST can be imposed? That means, first, whether this transaction will fit within the meaning of supply or not, that we have to understand. So any transaction, whether we can impose GST or not, that means we have to understand whether the transaction is supply or not. So where supply has been defined in law, section 7 of CGST Act 2017. See, please understand, in your syllabus you will be reading only CGST Act. Whenever they say section, that means it is only CGST Act. If at all it is belonging to some other act, they will specify the act name. If they are not specifying anything like that, and if they are just mentioning the section number, that means it is just the section belonging to CGST Act 2017. Am I clear? Shall we proceed? So without wasting further time, let us go into section 7. Section 7, subsection 1 deals with supply. Section 7, subsection 1 deals with supply. So I cannot have an elaborate discussion, but we'll have a quick overview of what is this, so that we'll understand what is supply, and it may help you for solving certain MCQs. Right. So section 7, subsection 1 says supply includes clause A, B, and C. Clause A, B, and C. If you look at section 7, subsection 1, clause A, it says that all forms of supply of goods or services or both, for consideration in the course of furtherance of business from a person to another person, for consideration, is called supply. They gave some examples in the clause itself, such as sale, transfer, barter, license, exchange, lease, all this stuff. They gave some examples. They are just examples. They are not conclusive. Yeah, they are just examples. Right? So when I can call a transaction as supply, sir, there is some supply happening between you, some goods or services, or both. Sometimes some transaction is happening between you, and if at all the supplier is making the transaction in the course or furtherance of his business for consideration, then it is a supply. A person, the supplier, should be doing something in the course or furtherance of his business for consideration. then it is a supply. So that means clause A says two things are important: business and consideration. Clause A says B and C are important. B and C. B for business, C for consideration. Obviously, there should be goods and services. There should be goods and services. What do you mean by goods? What do you mean by goods? Do you remember the definition of goods? What do you mean by goods? Goods means every kind of
Yes,
movable.
every kind of movable property
Movable.
other than money.
Other than
Money and security.
money and securities.
But
Including
actionable claims,
actionable claims, growing crops, grass, things
grass and things
are-
attached to the farming part of
which are which are attached to earth or forming part of land, which are agreed to be severed
to
under the contract of land. So the point is, we know every kind of movable property is a good, but here what we are excluding money and we are excluding securities. Please understand, when we say we are excluding money, we are excluding securities. If I give you 10,000 rupees cash, it is not a supply. But if I give you 10,000 rupees cash and if you give me back, repay me back, it is not a supply. The transaction is not a supply because purely transaction money. But I am giving you 10,000 rupees cash and you are repaying. When you are repaying me along with interest. That interest component is supply. Because that interest component is not money, it is a service. It is a service. Do you remember service definition? Service definition means the definition says service means anything. Service means anything other than goods, other than money, other than securities. But services includes transaction in money where I am allowing you to use my money. I'm charging separate consideration for it. Service includes conversion of money from one form to another form, one currency to another currency, one denomination to another denomination. Again, for which a separate consideration is charged. Are you able to understand? That means purely if we are dealing with money, it is not a supply because it is not good, it is not service. But if I am dealing with money and I am also charging extra consideration, then it is service. Hope I am clear to you. Same way, securities. I am selling you 10,000 equity shares. Is it supply of good? I am selling you 10,000 equity shares of a company. Is it a supply? No, because shares comes under securities. That is not covered in goods definition. That is not covered in services definition. So it is not at all a supply. Are you able to understand? So that means money and securities are not goods. Money and securities are not services. Clear? But anything related to that, incidental or ancillary to such things, they are very much supply. Either they may come under, mostly they come under services. For example, tell me whether land is a good.
No,
Because
sir.
it is not a movable property. It is not a good, it is not a service. So I am selling you 1 acre of land. Is it a supply? I am selling you 1 acre land. Is it a supply? No. But when I am selling you 1 acre land, I am paying 5,000 rupees commission to the real estate agent. That fellow is providing me services of arranging this sale. That is associated with the land. But whatever he is doing me is not a good. It is service. Just because it is associated with the land, you cannot say this is not a supply. I am selling you land, that is not a supply. But the other fellow, the real estate agent, providing me the services of what? Real estate agent is a supply. I am selling you equity shares, it's not a supply. But a stock broker will come and provide me the services, arranging this sale transaction, and he is charging commission, that is supply. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Shall we proceed, guys?
Yes, sir.
Now, that means supply includes all forms of supply of goods or services or both, which are done in the course or performance of business for a consideration. Clear? So goods definition we are clear, services definition we are clear. We don't have the time to discuss in an elaborate way. Fine. So let us proceed further. Is it clear? Shall we proceed? Now clause A, what are important? For clause A? B and C. Clause A. So B and C are important. What is B? Business. What is C? Consideration. Let us take example for business definition is so beautifully drafted by the lawmakers. It includes almost anything and everything. Let us assume you are selling your car, second-hand car. Like you have a car and you have used it and you are selling it for something. Is it a supply or not?
No, sir.
It is good. Car is a mobile property good. Is there consideration? Yes. But selling car is in the course or furtherance of your business?
No.
No. So it is not. So it is not a supply. But in the same example, a company which has purchased a car in its own name for the use of its MD or CEO, selling the car now. Is it a supply? Yes, it is a supply. Why? Because you tell me in business it is quite common to dispose the old plant and machinery, old assets.
It's a transfer of assets, so it's supply.
So which is disposal. Obviously, it is quite obvious that in the business, for me, whatever the old assets are there, I will sell them and I will purchase the new assets. So the sale is happening in the course or furtherance of business. Are you able to understand? That means business definition is so beautifully drafted. It covers almost everything and anything. So we don't have luxury to discuss about that in detail. Let us proceed. Clear? What is section 7, subsection 1, clause A? All forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, lease, exchange, rental, anything, etc. For
In the course of furtherance of business or consideration.
Yes, right. So clause A needs what? Clause A needs what? Clause A needs what?
Supply.
After A, what will come?
Business
Business and culture.
To call it as a
and
transaction
consideration.
supply, in clause A, what are the two elements we need?
Business and
The
consideration.
Business and consideration.
and B.
A and C, business and consideration. Clear up? From whose point of view we are discussing this? Supplier point of view or recipient's point of view?
Supplier.
Supply.
Supplier's point of view, correct? Look at section 7, subsection 1, clause B. Here, from whose point of view we are discussing?
Recipient point of view. Imported. Recipient.
Supplier or recipient?
Importation of services.
So I'm importing
Yes.
something. Vishnu is importing something. That means you're talking about.
Recipient.
So from recipient point of view, you are importing services with consideration or without consideration?
Without
Consideration.
without
Either for a
For
consideration.
consideration. whether or
With
Consideration or
consideration.
without consideration?
With
With consideration.
Consideration,
Blind
but
buffaloes are
not
saying
for
without
business.
consideration. So it is with consideration.
consideration in the course of
In
is
the
not
course of business or not?
not in the,
not
not in
No need to be.
not
Whether or
Not
not,
necessarily.
whether or not it is for business or whether
consider
or not it is for business, it doesn't matter.
whether or
Clause A, what you need? B and C.
PNC.
Clause A, what you need? B and C.
B and C.
Clause B,
C.
C only needed.
I am
Only
already
C.
in the B. I don't need B. So C is sufficient. That is what clause B says. Okay?
Okay.
So in clause B, business is not required. What is required? Consideration is required. That means
Consideration.
you import services. You import services for consideration, it is supply. Is that clear? You import services for consideration, it is supply. Whether or not you are importing it for business,
for
it doesn't matter. I'm importing something for personal purpose. Is it supply?
no for importing whether yes
Importing
Yes,
something
sir.
for personal purpose. Is it supply?
Yes.
Sir, if it is for consideration, it is
If it is for consideration, yes, it is supply.
Yes.
I'm importing something for consideration only, for personal purpose. Supply. Yeah.
Yes.
sir.
I'm importing something for consideration for business purpose. Is it supply?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
yes,
And in this clause B, what is covered? Clause A, in clause B, what is covered? Goods or services or both are?
services
Services.
Services.
Services alone. Import of goods covered under customs duty. Under customs laws, yes or no? Import and export of goods are covered under customs law. So here, import of services alone we are talking. To import service, whether for business purpose or personal purpose or any other purpose, it doesn't matter. So if you are paying consideration, we are calling it as supply. And please understand, we are not talking about whether this is taxable or not. We are not discussing whether this is taxable or not. We are just discussing whether this is
Supply.
Supply or not.
clear. Supply is different, taxable is different, and exemption is different. Clear? So first of all, if it fits within the meaning of supply, then only we can see whether it is taxable or exempt. Yes or no? That means first you should understand whether this transaction is supply or not. Then only you can understand whether it is taxable or exempt. We have chapter 4 exemptions, right? Whatever given in exemptions are exempt from GST. Remaining all are
Taxable.
taxable. That means first of all, whether it is taxable or exempt, to understand that we should know whether this transaction is supply or not.
Yes.
If the transaction itself is not a supply, should I worry about whether it is taxable or exempt? Obviously not taxable. See, please understand, it is just like a boy and a girl going to the court and asking for divorce, and the court is rejecting. Why?
They are not married.
Because they are not married. They are not married. If at all they are married, they should talk about divorce. If at all it is supply, they should talk about exemption or taxability. Correct? But all the transaction itself is not a supply. Why do we talk about taxability? So we should understand first whether the transaction is supply or not. Here we are understanding whether the transaction is supply or not. When you are reading the questions, especially maybe in MCQs, I feel, see, you should be careful with what is the question. Did they ask you whether it is a supply or not, or did they ask you whether it is taxable or not? Is that clear? So please be clear with the question. Are they asking you whether it is a supply or not, or whether it is taxable or not? Please be careful on it, right? So that is what clause B. Clause B says importation of services for consideration, whether or not in the course of purpose of business it is a supply. Clear? Shall we proceed? Right. Next, what is clause C?
Activity specified in Schedule 1. Even though it is made without consideration, it is considered as supply.
A, you need B and C. Clause B, you need not worry about B because the clause is B. Clause C,
C is there, so no B.
only thing B is needed.
Okay, sir.
So let us just remember that the clause C is nothing but it is talking about, I have given some transactions in Schedule 1. Refer Schedule 1. In that Schedule 1, I have given certain transactions. Those transactions, if you are doing, even though without consideration, they are very much supply. They are very much supply. Is that clear? Is that clear?
Yes.
Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
So what is clause C, my dear friends? What is clause C?
Activities specified in Schedule 1.
Done without consideration. Where those activities are mentioned?
Schedule 1.
Clear? Schedule 1. So let us proceed with Schedule 1. What is Schedule 1?
So in clause C, we need business or not, sir?
Sorry?
In clause C, we need business or not?
What did I say? Did I say need or not? We don't need.
तो एक बार बोला सर बी चाहिए करके, एक बार नहीं कुछ नहीं बोला सर इसी
एक बार चाहिए बोला, एक बार नहीं चाहिए बोला.
नहीं चाहिए करके नहीं बोला सर, कुछ नहीं बोला.
ठीक है, देख लेंगे क्या हो रहा है. Let us see activities given in Schedule 1 so that we will understand whether we need business or not. Fine. So what are the activities given in Schedule 1, my dear friends? First, come to this page number 2.22. There are 4 paras, that is 4 activities mentioned in Schedule 1, which are to be treated as supply, even though done without consideration. So what is first activity? What is first activity?
Permanent transfer of business assets
Disposal of business assets where ITC has been available.
has been taken.
You have purchased something, you have recorded it as a business asset. While recording it as a business asset, you have availed ITC also. You have availed ITC also. Now, such asset you are giving to somebody free of cost without consideration. Such asset you are giving free of cost to somebody without consideration. Generally, what without consideration, if anything is done, it is not supply, correct? But what is that you are transferring without consideration? Switch on your videos. Those who can switch on the videos, please switch on the videos. No, even think about me, please. Please switch on the videos. Whoever you can switch on, I'm not forcing, but still, those who can switch on the videos, please switch on the videos. Fine. So, what was that we were speaking? Schedule 1, para 1, right? Permanent transfer or disposal of business assets on which ITC has been. Generally, what did we say that If at all you are doing something without consideration, it is not a supply. But you have purchased a business asset, you have purchased something, recorded it as an asset for the business, and you have availed ITC. Such asset, if you are transferring to somebody without consideration, why should I give you ITC benefit? You have availed ITC benefit. So now what I am saying is, whatever the transaction you are doing, whatever the supply you are making, whatever the transfer you are doing without consideration, that transaction is supply. Even though done without consideration, it is supply. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next, what is second para? Para number 2. Supply made to
Related person or
Related
distinct person.
related person or a distinct person under section 25.
25.
On a section 15. Okay.
Supply made to related person or distinct person under section 25 without consideration in the course or furtherance of business is a supply. You remember what is distinct person meaning?
Voice light a break out.
Okay. Now is it fine?
So it is fine.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Now, do you remember what is distinct person? What is the meaning of distinct persons?
Yes, sir.
Section 25, subsection 4 and 5. We have discussed subsection 4 will be comparing two different registrations of a same person. So they are belonging to different same person, but still we are treating them as belonging to two different persons. Clear? Vishnuvardhan registered in Tamil Nadu, Vishnuvardhan registered in Karnataka will be treated as two different persons. Even though Vishnuvardhan is nothing but one same person, still the two different registrations of the same person will be treated as two different establishments of two different persons. Why? Because to call it as a supply, there should be two persons, no? For a transaction, it should be done from supplier to recipient. It cannot be like Vishnu doing trimming for himself and paying GST to the government. Clear? So the point is there should be a supplier, there should be a recipient. Fine. So they are saying, even though these two different registrations are belonging to same person, if any transaction happens between them, let us assume I am manufacturing notebooks in Tamil Nadu. I have an outlet in Karnataka, Bangalore. The stock from Tamil Nadu I am transferring to my Karnataka unit. Whether I will charge consideration for that?
No, sir.
You from Tamil Nadu will make payment to Vishnu in Karnataka.
No, sir.
Right? It is just like I am taking money from my left pocket and putting it in the right pocket. So obviously I will not charge consideration. But what the law says, Mr. Vishnu, you are transferring the stock, the goods. There is transfer of goods from your registration in Tamil Nadu to your registration in Karnataka. From your registered unit in Tamil Nadu to your registered unit in Karnataka. Of course, there is no consideration. Still, we call it as supply, you pay GST. It means just understand stock transfers and branch transfers are also treated as supply because of this provision. And you need not worry about like, sir, this is harsh on the taxpayer. Recipient can claim ITC, no. Here we want to track the transactions, whatever the transactions happening, whatever the movement of goods happening, they want to track it. Here, so that the tax evasion can be minimized. Shall we proceed? So the point is supply between related person or distinct person. Related person means what? I will call my friend Macha Andal. He will become my related person. Huh?
No, sir.
So the point is related person again has a meaning. Partners of the firm or director or officer of each other's business. Next, common ownership, common control, members of same family, like this. Clear? And we have a definition for family in GST. You know that? We have a definition for family in GST. You know the definition of family in GST? Parents, grandparents, spouse, and children, they will be your family. But here the twist is, please understand, your spouse and your children are always your family. Your spouse and your children are always your family. Yes. The spouse and children are always family. But your parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters are your family only if they are wholly dependent on you. My mother is not part of my family if he is independent, according to GST law. So the lawmakers itself are encouraging us, like, don't include your parents in your family. So, okay. The point is, family definition says your spouse and children are your family, no matter whether they are dependent or not. Yeah, because once married, that's all. So they are your family. Your spouse and children are your family, no matter whether you like them or not. But your parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters are your family only if they are wholly dependent. Wholly dependent. Please understand. Wholly dependent. Yeah. That means, please understand here one small logic. For Amitabh Bachchan, Abhishek Bachchan is family. But for Abhishek Bachchan, Amitabh Bachchan is not a family. For Amitabh Bachchan, Abhishek Bachchan is the children. So whether the children are dependent or not, they are the family. But for Abhishek Bachchan, parents are family only if they are wholly dependent. So obviously the parents are not dependent there. Are you able to understand? For father, son is always the family. But for son, father is not always family. Here, shall we proceed? I am not talking about any social issues or family issues there. I am talking about GST. So Divakar is already smiling, like, for son, father is not a family. Na? Divakar is thinking, sir, till marriage only family. After marriage, no, they are not family. Fine. So shall we proceed, guys? That is what the story here. So supply between related person or distinct persons, transfer of goods or services, whatever it is, without consideration between these people is a supply, even though there is no consideration. So related person and distinct persons, we have just made a brief discussion. So because of this, what stock transfer and branch transfers are also what becoming supply. This is what related person meaning given in the law. Right? You can just go through that once, or else not that greatly, but just go through that once.
Page number, sir.
That is what para 2. Supply between supply of goods or services, whatever it is, between related person or distinct person without consideration is a supply. Page number 2.25. Related person meaning, page number 2.25. So let us move on to para 3. Para 3 just understand supply of goods. Services not covered here. Services not covered. Supply of goods between principal and agent without consideration is a supply. Supply of goods between principal and agent. That is from principal to agent or agent to principal, where the agent is undertaking the responsibility to supply the goods on behalf of the principal, or agent is undertaking the responsibility to procure the goods on behalf of the principal. Then, even though it is done without consideration, it is very much a supply. Shall we proceed? Just remember that way. And which type of principal agent are covered here? Only principal agent where principal has given the power to the agent to raise the invoice in his own name. Then only they are covered here. Be able to understand? If the principal has given the agent the power to raise the invoice in his own name or to receive the invoice in his own name, such type of people will be covered. Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed? Right. Next. Para number 4, last para. Tell me, is this similar to any other provision? Para 4. Similar to any other provision you have just now read.
7B, sir.
7(1)(b).
Clause
7(1)(b), correct? What is 7(1)(b)?
Imputation of service with
Not in the
consideration.
course of furtherance.
Import of service for consideration or without consideration?
For consideration.
Whether or
With
not.
Consideration clause
with
for
consideration.
consideration, whether or not in the course of furtherance of business. B for business, B for buffalo. Right? So it is whether or not in the course of furtherance of business, but for consideration. It is for consideration.
Consideration.
Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed? Right. So now please understand. whenever they ask you about importation of service, please understand they will test you two things. One is clause B, the other is clause D. Sorry, clause C, read along with schedule 1, para 4. What are the differences, my dear friends, between clause B and clause C, schedule 1, para 4? Sir, in case of clause B, consideration is required, but clause C, schedule 1, para 4, consideration is not required.
It's not required.
Clause B, business is not required. But in clause C, it should be for the purpose of business, in the course of further business. Who can be supplier in clause B? Supplier can be anybody. Supplier can be anybody in clause B. Did they say that supplier should be this particular person?
No, sir. No, sir.
But in clause C, schedule 1, para 4, they said you are importing services from your related person or your own establishment located outside taxable territory, that is outside India. Clear? Here they are saying that supplier should be related person or supplier should be your own establishment located outside India. For example, Infosys Bengaluru taking services from Infosys New York, importing the services from their own establishment located outside India. Sir, Mama? Infosys Bengaluru is receiving services from Infosys New York. That is covered.
Yes, sir.
Or a father is receiving services from his child located outside India, related person. Correct? So that is what covered here. So please understand the differences. Please understand the differences. Whenever importation of service is tested, it can be tested with both clause B and clause C in the question. See, for example, Mr. Mahendra Bahubali, a lawyer in USA, is providing legal advisory services to his mother Devasena in India regarding filing a divorce suit without consideration, obviously. Is it a supply?
It is a supply.
Is it a supply?
No, sir.
No,
Why?
If in the course of business, it is
business.
I should only decide whether it is in the course of furtherance of business. Akshita,
No, sir.
marrying people and giving divorce is Devasena's business. Huh?
it is not a supply, sir.
And then, you have read the question and you are again saying that if it is in the course of business, it is a supply. अरे भाई मारो मुझे मारो. Right. So suppose say Mahendra Bahubali, the son, lawyer in USA, providing legal advisory services without consideration to Devasena to file a suit against Mr. Ballal Dev with respect to her business Mahishmati and Co. Is it a supply?
Yes, sir.
Importation of service from related person for consideration, without consideration.
Without consent.
Imports of furtherance of business, yes.
Yes, sir.
Is it satisfying all the conditions? Yes. It is supply.
Yes.
Sanua, are you able to understand?
Yes. Yes.
Guys,
Yes, sir.
please understand. First thing, if there is import of service, you should see whether there is consideration or no consideration. If there is consideration, blindly you can say it is supply. Blindly you can say it is supply. If there is consideration. There is no consideration. If there is no consideration, you should see conditions. Is it for business? Is it from related person or own establishment? Yes. Then supply. Here. Here. See, for example, Mr. Kattappa, a lawyer in USA. Let us change the example. A lawyer in USA. Father of Devasena. Same story. If he is advising Devasena for personal purpose without consideration, divorce case or whatever it is, or he is advising for business purpose regarding her business without consideration. Which is supply, which is not a supply? Which is supply, which is not a supply?
Business purpose supply. First.
Related person, no, sir.
So there is no related person. No supply.
So please understand, in this case, If the answer is just like the previous example, why will I draft another example? Why will I bring Kattappa here unnecessarily? So the point is, first of all, Devasena, is she importing services? Yes. Without consideration, yes.
Yes.
Leave about first case, it is personal purpose leave. Second case, business purpose only. So
Business
from whom she is
purpose.
importing?
Father,
Father.
independent.
Father related person to Devasena.
No, sir.
Is Devasena's family will include her father, parents.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Kattappa should be family, correct?
Yes.
Should be family of
No,
Devasena.
sir. No, sir.
Kattappa is a lawyer in USA. You feel like he is wholly dependent on Devasena?
No, sir.
No.
Then obviously he is not a family member.
Um,
That means no matter whether it is personal purpose or business purpose, the answer remains the same because that fellow is not a part of family. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Shall we proceed? Just take a screenshot of this. You can just read it later on. Or you share this PDF. No worries. Leave it. Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed? So second case, what? Both the cases in example 21, both the cases, it is not a supply because he is not a family. Shall we proceed? So that is what schedule 1. What is schedule 1, my dear friends? What is schedule 1? Schedule 1 activities to be treated as supply even though done without consideration. What are the activities given in schedule 1? Sir, there are 4 activities given in schedule 1. What are those activities, my dear friends?
Permanent
Transfer of-
transfer
Permanent
or
transfer
business.
of business
Third
asset.
permanent.
Of which ATC has been availed. Second one,
Related person, distinct person.
transaction
Distinct
between
person
persons
in the course
without
of other
consideration in course of occurrence of business. Number 3,
Principal
Principal and
agent's relationship.
between principal and agent. Number 4,
Agent. Importation of
importation of
Because
importation of
services.
service.
without consideration in the course of occurrence of business from
related
Related
person
person or
own
own
establishment.
establishment.
own
Located outside
located
India.
outside India.
outside India.
Outside India.
That is what schedule 1. So what is schedule 1? What is schedule 1? Activities to be treated as supply even though done without consideration.
Consideration.
Then let us move on to schedule 2. With this, we are done with section 7, subsection 1, and we have understood what is supply. What is supply? Now, there is something section 7, subsection 1A, which says that if at all it is a supply, whether it should be treated as supply of good or supply of service. That is given in schedule 2. So you can just go through schedule 2. I will not discuss that. Let us move on to schedule 3. What is schedule 2? What is schedule 2? Transaction to be treated as either supply of good or supply of service. Either SOG or sauce. Either SOG or sauce. The transaction is a supply. Should I classify this transaction as supply of food or supply of service? This is the point. Here, shall we proceed? Right. So either SOG or sauce. Let us continue. Let us continue. So we are not worrying about schedule 2. Let us focus on schedule 3. What is schedule 3? You know?
Neither
Negative.
supply of goods nor supply of service.
Negative.
Neither SOG nor sauce. Neither SOG nor sauce. That means it is not at all a supply. It is not at all a supply.
Supply.
Before going to that, in either SOG or sauce, schedule 2, I will discuss one small area related to building. Right? So in schedule 2, there is a point related to construction of complex or building or civil structure, whatever it is. Please understand. Please understand. Generally, building is an immovable property, yes or no? Building is an immovable
Movable property.
So when building is an immovable property, obviously when there is sale of building, there is no GST, correct? Now the point here is, sir, if at all you are constructing something, we will be seeing some apartments and all they will be constructing and they will be just announcing it, correct? They will announce like the project is going to start and the flat price, what is the price for the square feet and how much you should pay in advance to book the apartment or flat, all the stuff they will be advertising, correct? So here what is it? Normally what happens in the market? So generally when the construction starts, the apartments are being built, will go on to the advance bookings, correct? Majority of the cases, the advance booking will happen. So what they are saying is, when I'm making the payment of advance booking, I'm giving you money so that you will construct my house. It is that way, correct? So the lawmakers have said that because you are paying consideration, at least part of consideration, at least 1 rupee you will pay in book. Because you are paying the consideration before the completion of the construction. If it is completed, if the construction is done, it is a ready-made product which is immobile. If you buy that, it is not a supply, correct? But if you are paying consideration before completion certificate, at least 1 rupee if you pay also, that means what is happening? I am treating like you are giving money to that fellow and getting your building constructed. And getting your building constructed. Clear? So that fellow is providing you service, construction services. That is what the law means. So it is supply of service. It is supply of service.
Service.
So see, for example, there is an apartment we are constructing. Let us call diamond apartments. So there are 7 flats in this. So we are announcing the project. 7 flats. The project has been announced. Diamond apartments. Now, don't ask me where are the pillars for that. You cannot see and you cannot understand the logic behind how that is made because you are bloody chartered accountant students, not the civil engineers. Right? Let us proceed.
So he's a civil engineer in.
Okay. I just understood. Yes. Okay. Next, let us proceed. Project announced on 2nd June 2021. Let us assume, and each flat I am saying that it will cost 50 lakhs. It will cost 50 lakhs. How many flats are there?
7 flats.
7 flats. Construction started on 14th June. 2 flats booked in advance, and they paid advance 10 lakh rupees. So those 2 flats can I call as supply of service?
Yes,
For
sir.
those 2 flats, 7 flats, I have sold 2 flats. For 2 flats, advance booking happened. Can I call it as supply of service?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
1 rupee also if you receive before completion certificate. Before completion certificate, guys, please understand, you should not say that construction is completed, sir. There is a competent authority giving a certificate, construction completed. Like that, the competent authority should certify. You have the completion certificate. But before getting that completion certificate, if anybody pays at least 1 rupee also, that's all gone. It is supply of service. How much the cost of each flat?
50 lakhs.
10 lakhs.
How much advance you got?
10 lakhs.
10 lakhs each.
20.
In future, how much you will receive?
30 lakhs. I mean,
Correct? Tell me, on how much value GST will be imposed?
50 lakhs.
10 lakhs. The money received.
I'm asking about like till the end, the completion over, construction over, the paid 40 lakhs balance also, everything is over. Now, on what amount you should have paid GST?
50 lakhs.
50 lakhs.
50 lakhs. Why? Because I am constructing your apartment. For that, what is my fees? 50 lakhs. Today you pay 10 lakhs. On that, according to time of supply, we will pay GST. Tomorrow you will pay 40 lakhs. According to time of supply, we will pay GST and close the issue. That's all. That means I'm telling that not only the advance portion, the total transaction is taxable. Total transaction shall be treated as supply of service. Clear? So 2 flats advance booking done. When 25th June. Construction completed. When construction is completed? When construction is completed?
25th December.
25th December. After that, 4 flats sold. 4 flats got sold for 55 lakhs per flat.
No GST.
Construction completion certificate received on 5th Jan 2022. Then again, whatever the balance 1 flat was left, that was sold for 60 lakhs on 15th Jan. Now tell me, how many transactions happened here? 3 transactions. 2 flats, 4 flats, and 1 flat. Transaction 1, supply of service or not? Transaction 1, supply of service or not? Yes.
Yes.
Transaction 2.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Transaction 2. Is it supply?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Transaction 2, after the
Completion.
construction is completed.
But the
But
certificate is
not
received.
certified.
Yes, the certificate is not received. So the point is certificate. So transaction 2 is also supply of service.
Yes,
Transaction
sir.
3,
Not a supply.
not a supply. Why?
Because it is
I have-
after the certificate.
Is that clear? Is that clear? Shall we proceed? That means normally when you see some advertisement, flats for sale, no GST. What does it mean? They are not doing you any favor. That means construction of apartments are over and there are some goods or some flats which are remaining unsold. You come and purchase. That is what the meaning of when they say flats for sale, no GST. Fine. Let us proceed. That is what schedule 2 I wanted to discuss this. So construction is treated as supply of service when you receive at least 1 rupee consideration before completion certificate. When can I say it is not at all a supply? Not at all a supply. If you get the entire consideration after completion certificate. If you get the entire consideration after completion certificate, then only it is not a supply. If you get at least 1 rupee money advance before completion certificate is supply of goods or services are
Service.
Goods.
services. Hey, Ashish. Services, not goods. Fine. Shall we proceed? To call it as a good, you should hire Hulk so that he will lift the building from one place to another place. From Hubli, he will bring it to Chennai or Tirupati. Fine. Let us proceed.
Understood, sir. Understood.
Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
That is what schedule 2 I wanted to discuss that entry alone. Next. Schedule 3. What is schedule 3, my dear friends? What is schedule 3? Come to page number 2.45. Schedule 3. Activities to be treated as
Neither a supply of goods nor a supply of service.
Neither supply of goods nor
neither SOG nor sauce. Schedule 2 is either SOG or sauce. 3 is neither SOG nor sauce. If I say it is neither SOG nor sauce, automatically it is not a supply. So what is schedule 3? Neither SOG nor sauce. What is entry 1? Para 1. So it is talking about employer and employee. We have already discussed it, I guess. Yes or no? There is employer and employee relationship between you. We have discussed it during RCM supplies. Do you remember? Director services to company. It is covered under RCM. But if the director is employee of the company, employer-employee relationships are covered under
FC.
supply of good nor supply of service. It is not a supply. So the salary drawn by the employees, whether you are a daily wage worker or a weekly paid worker or you are drawing monthly salary, doesn't matter. Whether you are a labor or whether you are any IT employee or any other stuff. So you are an employee and employee providing his services to employer in the course of employment is neither SOG nor sauce. If he is providing anything outside the employment contract, it is very much a supply. It is very much a supply. Yeah. So please understand the salary, bonus, premature termination, all these amounts received by you is not a supply because these are nothing but as per the terms of the contract of employment. Yeah. So please understand whether you are a casual worker or a daily wage worker, all this stuff. 1 second. So whether you are a casual worker, whether you are a daily wage worker, you are an employee. So it is not a supply. It is not a supply. But if you are doing something outside the course of employment, please understand it is a supply. Tell me between employer and employee whether there is principal and principal relationship or principal and agent relationship. Between employer and employee, between your boss and the employee, is it a principal and agent or principal to principal?
Principal to agent, sir.
Obviously principal and agent relationship. Whatever the employer says, the employee has to obey, obviously, correct? So the principal and agent relationship will exist. So please understand employer-employee relationship, principal and agent relationship, it is not a supply. But something outside the scope of employment, if they are dealing principal to principal basis, on principal to principal basis. Let us assume after you are CA, you became internal auditor of a company, the employee of the company. So your employee of, let us assume some company, or a sole proprietor business, let us take, just for example, let us take a sole proprietor business. For him, you're an internal auditor. So the salary paid by him to you is nothing but for the services provided by you. Is it a supply? No, it is not a supply because employer-employee relationship is there. Yes or no? Suppose he's also asking, like you're doing the internal audit. He's asking you to file the income tax return for his wife. So this is something outside the scope of employment. He says further he will pay you the consideration also. Is it a supply?
Yes.
Yes, it is a supply. Clear? So whatever comes under the employment contract and whatever you are doing, there is neither supply of food nor supply of service. But if you do something outside the scope of employment, it is very much a supply. Right? Yes. Next. So here we can take example, you are doing something on principle to principle basis. It is a supply. If you are taking some consideration from him not to join the competing business, non-compete fees, that is not as per the contract of employment. It is something outside the scope of employment. So it is very much a supply. It is very much a supply. Clear? Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed? So that is entry one. Next, entry number 2. The services provided by any court or tribunals like National Company Law Tribunal, Income Tax Appellate Tribunals, all these tribunals, District Court, High Court, Supreme Court, whenever you are filing a suit, they will charge some application fees or whatever, some minimum amount you will be paying to the government, correct? The court, sorry, not to the government, for the court. As court fees you will pay. That is court providing you the services. It is neither supply of food nor supply of services. Right? So the services provided by court or tribunal is neither SOG nor SOS. So it is not a supply. It is not a supply. Next. What is the next one? Entry number 3. Para 3. Sir, the MLAs, MPs, or members of panchayats or municipalities, all this stuff. You may be feeling that they are doing service to you, but the law says they are not doing any service. That means whatever the activities they are doing, for which they are getting the remuneration, it should not be treated as supply of good or supply of service. So it is not a supply. Are you able to understand? MLAs, MPs, all these people are not employees of the government, correct? They are people's representatives representing the people in the respective levels or positions. So the point is respective places. So the point is whatever the remuneration they are getting is for the services they are providing, but the law says it should not be treated as supply. It should not be treated as supply. Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed? So it is just like don't give pain to the people who are already giving you the pain. So GST is only for public, not for politicians, the rulers. Right? Yes. Next. Duties to be performed by person who is holding a post which is as per the provisions of Constitution. The Chief Justice of India, is he an employee? No. The President, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, the Chief Minister, these people are holding the positions created by the Constitution. So the provisions created by the Constitution, the positions are created by the provisions of Constitution, for which they are getting the consideration, the remuneration, correct? That is not a supply. That is not a supply. So first thing, what? MLAs, MPs, all these people, members of panchayats, municipalities, or any other. But here, you are holding any position which is created by Constitution, for which you are getting consideration. Example, Chief Justice of India, President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Lok Sabha Speaker, Chief Election Officer, all this stuff. What is the next one, ma? Did we discuss about this before? Any person providing his services as a chairperson or a director or a member of a body established by whom? Body established by central government or
Central
state
government of
local authority. While discussing RCM supplies in the last class, we discussed it. Do you remember? So the point is, if you are providing services as a member or a chairperson or a director of a body established by central government, state government, or local authority, then your services are not a supply. Next, what is the next one? Services of funeral, burial, crematorium, or mortuary services, including transportation of deceased. May your soul rest in peace, at least after death, without paying taxes. That is what the intention here, I guess. So the point is, these type of activities are not at all supply, so there is no GST. Next, sale of land. Sale of land is neither SOG nor SOS, because it is immovable property. So they are giving a clarity, it is neither SOG nor SOS. But they said, subject to paragraph 5B of schedule 2, sale of building is also not a supply. Sale of building is not straight away not a supply. Sale of land straight away not a supply. But sale of building is subject to paragraph 5B of schedule 2. What is that? We have discussed, diamond apartments.
Yes.
Except in that case, remaining cases it is not a supply. Are you able to understand? Except in that particular case where you are receiving the consideration, part of consideration at least before the completion certificate. Except in that case, remaining all cases, sale of building is neither SOG nor SOS. Am I clear? Shall we proceed? Next. Actionable claims except lottery, betting, gambling. Actionable claims, if you remember your CA Foundation Sale of Goods Act, goods definition, actionable claims are not included in the definition of goods in Sale of Goods Act. But in GST law, in goods definition, they have included actionable claims. Why? Because we want to tax lottery, betting, and gambling. Here we want to tax lottery, betting, and gambling. So we have included actionable claims in the definition of goods. But I don't want to tax all the goods, all the actionable claims. I want to focus only on lottery, betting, gambling. So if anything else is coming within the meaning of actionable claims, I don't want to tax it. So what they're saying, actionable claim is a good. So actionable claim means supply of goods as per GST. So we will impose tax. But in schedule 3, what they are saying, they are excluding actionable claims as a supply, other than lottery, betting, and gambling. That means what is the net effect? Net impact. What is the net impact there? Only lottery, betting, and gambling are taxed under GST. Any other actionable claims are not covered here. Shall we proceed? That is what? Schedule 3. What is Schedule 3, my dear friends? What is Schedule 3? What is Schedule 3?
Neither supply of goods nor supply of
Neither SOG nor SOS.
Supply.
So that means it is not at all
Supply.
not all a
supply.
What are the transactions which are not at all a supply? There are 6 transactions. We have seen them. So transaction number 1, employer-employee relationship.
Relationship
Number 2,
or principal agent. Service with the court.
services of court and tribunal. Number 3, in entry
Court.
number 3 itself, there are 3 activities. One is
M-
MLAs, MPs,
MLA,
members of all these.
MP, Panchayat member.
Position given by
Chief.
the Constitution.
Created by Constitution.
Constitution.
Next, number 3,
Constitution.
Appointed employees appointed by central government.
director, chairperson, or member of any body established by central government, state government, or local authority. Union territory. Next, entry number
Funeral
4.
services.
Para number 4.
Funeral services.
Sale of land. Sale of land. Sale of. Sorry. Yes.
Land.
Funeral, crematorium, mortuary. Yes. Funeral, crematorium, mortuary.
Service.
Yes. Number 5, sale of land. And subject to paragraph 5B of schedule 2, sale
Land.
of building also.
Bill.
Sale of building.
Next, what is para 6?
Actionable claims other than
Actionable.
lottery, betting, gambling.
Lottery, betting.
Transaction in relation to betting, gambling, or lottery. Is it a supply or not?
Supply.
It's supply of goods.
Yes.
So
Supply.
Is it supply of good or supply of service?
Goods.
Supply of service.
Lottery, betting, gambling. Lottery, betting, gambling.
Supply of
Supply of good or
goods.
supply of service?
Goods.
Supply of goods.
Goods.
Supply of goods. Why? Because they are actionable claims and they are included in the definition of goods.
Goods.
Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Will we proceed? That is what schedule number 3. That is what? Schedule number 3. Neither SOG nor SOS. Right. Let us proceed. With this, we are done with section 7 in brief. Right. Now let us move on to section number 8. What is section number 8?
Composite supply and mixed
Composite
supply.
supply.
Composite supply and mixed
Mixed
supply.
Mixed supply.
So what is composite supply? What is mixed supply? Why we have to study section 8? What is the need of studying section 8? Composite supply and mixed supply. Please understand, generally, you are purchasing a mobile phone. You are purchasing a mobile phone. In the packet, what do you get? You will get the mobile phone as well as the charger. And if you are an iPhone user, you will get only the mobile and the cable, and you should purchase the adapter support. So leave about those poor kids. Let us talk about only others who are purchasing normal mobiles. They'll get the mobile phone, they'll get the adapter, they'll get the cable, correct? Everything. Like some 5-6 years back, you are also getting the earphones,
Headphones.
correct? So now let us assume you're purchasing a mobile phone, you're getting the charger, and also you're getting the earphones. How many items are coming towards you?
3.
Mobile,
Charger,
earphones.
earphones.
Is there any breakup in the price they are giving to you? They'll say mobile phone 8,999, charger 299, earphones 199. Like that, they are giving the breakup.
No, sir.
They're giving you a single price. Correct? Remember the word single, very important. So single price. For single price, you're getting how many supplies?
3.
3 supplies.
Can I say more than one?
Yes, sir.
For one price, you're getting more than one supply. Correct? Same way, let us assume. You're going to any hotel. You're booking a room there. So when you're going to a hotel and booking a room there, you want to stay in that particular hotel. What is that you're getting? Sir, they'll give you a price. Let us assume they are saying, sir, 4,999 per night. That is what they say, 4,999 per night. So there, if you pay 4,999 per night, they'll give you the accommodation services. Morning, they'll give you the complimentary breakfast. They will send a newspaper to your room, no matter whether you know to read or not. Next, they will provide you a Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, not wife, Divakar, Wi-Fi. So they will provide you a Wi-Fi. And if it is like very star hotel, obviously 4,999 per night, now they might have the swimming pool, they might have the gym, all these things. So you will have the access to these things, right? That means 4,999, are they giving you any breakup? 3,999 for the room, 299 for the breakfast, complimentary breakfast, 49 rupees for the data what you use in Wi-Fi, and 199 for the swimming pool. Like this, are they giving you any breakup?
No, sir.
That means again here, understand that there are so many transactions which we are entering where they will charge only one single price, for which we are getting more than one supply. For which we are getting more than one supply. That means some people will frame the sentence like this: 2 or more supplies. When they say 2 or more supplies, or when they say more than one supply, it is nothing but one and the same. Yeah. So you are getting more than one supply. Now, in that case, what is the tax treatment? What is the tax treatment? If you see, let us assume if the mobile phone GST rate is 18%. Separately, if you purchase the charging cable, they are charging 12% GST. The adapter, they are charging 28% GST. Let us assume. Then what should be the tax treatment in this case?
18%, sir. Principal supply tax
So,
rate.
the point is, if you go to a hotel, accommodation services, let us assume 18%. On newspaper, no GST. On Wi-Fi, again 18%. Or something like breakfast, morning, they're giving 5% GST. So like this, there are different GST rates. You're purchasing something, you're paying a single price, but it is giving you more than one supplies where you're getting more items, more goods or more services on which there are different GST rates and different GST provisions applicable. Then how should I proceed with the tax treatment? That is what the point here. For that purpose, we should read section 8. Am I clear? So what is
Yes, sir.
section 8? What is section 8? Section 8 says, if at all you are paying a single price for which you are getting
Multiple
more
supplies.
than one supply. Yes, multiple supplies.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
how should I proceed? How should I deal with this? What is the tax treatment now? Now the question is simple. Here you should ask a question. When you are getting multiple supplies for a single price, No breakup, nothing.
Okay.
You go to supermarket, you purchase various groceries and come. At the billing counter, what they will do, they will give the bill. So the list will go from your house to my house. So the bill will be so lengthy. Obviously, there will be clear breakup, right? So this is the
Yes.
product. So what is the rate? What is the price? What is the GST? There will be a breakup. If that breakup is given, obviously each good and each service will have its own tax treatment. Clear up. But if such breakup is not available, what is the tax treatment? Now, then the question arises: are you getting some bundled supplies? Some bundled supplies, yes or no? Some
Yes.
bundle of supplies you are receiving. Is that bundle naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business or not? Is it naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business?
Yes, sir.
How can I say whether it is
Appear to
naturally
send out.
bundled or not? That means it depends upon how the competitors are providing it, how I am
Yeah.
expecting it, how they are advertising it. So based upon all these things, you will understand. Now, if you see this mobile phone example, are they naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So if they are naturally bundled, I call it as a composite supply. If they are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business, I call it as a composite supply. If they are not naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business, then
Mixed
Mixed
supply.
supply.
if it is a composite supply, what is the tax rate? If it is a
Principal
composite
supply tax.
supply, if it is a composite supply, out of that bundle, identify the supply which is predominant for it.
Okay. Municipal supply.
That is what we are calling as principal supply. What is the principal supply in that bundle? When you're purchasing a mobile phone, you're getting charger, cable, adapter, all the stuff, mobile also. What is the predominant element there?
Mobile.
Mobile phone.
Mobile phone. I'm not purchasing the phone for the charger or adapter or the cable, right? So the entire transaction will be treated as supply of the mobile phone. What is the GST rate applicable to that mobile phone? The same GST rate, the same GST provisions will be
Be
applicable to
applicable
the
to the
whole transaction. Make clear. If you are receiving bundled supplies for a single price, you should see what? What should be your question?
Whether it is naturally bundled or
Whether
not.
they are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of
Whole
business.
course.
Ordinary course. If yes is your answer, what is the tax treatment? Classified as a composite supply. Whatever is the principal supply, the whole transaction will be treated as supply of such principal supply. If they are not naturally bundled,
Treated as mixed supply.
treated as mixed supply, what is the tax treatment?
Highest.
Highest
bundle,
tax.
Highest rate will be the
out of that bundle, what is the supply which is attracting highest rate? The entire transaction will be treated as supply of such supply which attracts highest rate of tax.
Yes, sir.
Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So now, for example, if you see the hotel room booking, the hotel room, is it a composite supply or mixed supply?
Composite supply.
Composite supply. Why? Because majority of the competitors nowadays obviously provide so many facilities because they want to make you to feel like you are in your house. So they'll provide various facilities based upon the size of the hotel, based upon the consideration, all this stuff. Whatever the options they are providing to you, that will differ. Clear? You're purchasing a refrigerator along with water bottles. Purchase a refrigerator and also they are giving you a set of water bottles. Then
Mixed supply.
you're purchasing a washing machine where they are also giving you a surf excel powder 1 kg packet.
Mixed.
mixed supply.
So all this stuff like you're purchasing chocolates and dry fruits in a gift box.
Mixed supply.
Mixed supply.
Here and now, please understand. Always there is a scope for debate here. Why? Because there is no standard formula. A plus B whole square is equals to A square plus B square plus 2AB. Like that, there is no formula here to decide whether it is a composite supply or mixed supply. You may feel like composite, but department may feel like mixed. You may feel like mixed, department may feel like composite. Like this, there is a scope for debate or litigation. So just ignore about it. Let us go generally. Here they won't test that deeply to you. So what is composite supply and what is mixed supply, my dear friends? So generally, when I'm paying a single price and for which I'm getting bundled supplies, if they are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business, then it is called composite supply. What is the tax treatment? Identify the principal supply. The whole transaction shall be treated as supply of such principal supply. But if they are not naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business,
And then
The
high.
supply which attracts a higher amount of rate.
supply which attracts highest rate of tax, and the entire
That
transaction shall be treated as
Mixed.
supply of such supply which is attracting highest rate of tax.
Rate of tax.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if there is a price breakup, should I treat it as composite supply or mixed supply?
Mix supply.
Mixed supply.
It is a individual supply.
If there is a price breakup, why will I treat it as a mixed supply or composite supply? I will go with the individual treatment, tax treatment. Price breakup, I said price breakup. Please understand, once there is a breakup, then you are individual. That's all. That way, remember, when there is a price breakup, go with individual tax treatment. Not
Okay, okay,
composite
sir.
supply, not mixed supply.
Not mixed supply.
So clear. Those who have answered wrongly, shall we proceed?
Sorry, sir.
That is what section 8 all about. So with this, briefly we have covered chapter 2 supply. So let us move on to the next topic, section 10, composition scheme. Clear? So let us proceed with section 10, composition scheme. Who are eligible for composition scheme? The composition scheme is nothing but a scheme which is aimed to provide certain relaxations to the small taxpayers. It means who are small taxpayers? Who are small taxpayers? Please understand, this scheme is just an optional scheme which if you want to follow, you follow, or else you need not follow. So according to this scheme, please understand, if you are eligible for this scheme, you need not pay tax at normal rates, 18%, 12%, all the stuff. You can pay tax at the minimum rates like 1%, 5%, all the stuff. So the tax burden, all the stuff will be reduced, and the compliance related aspects like monthly filing of returns, all this stuff will be reduced. So who are eligible for this composition scheme? Now please understand, section 10 subsection 1 says any registered person whose aggregate turnover. What do you mean by aggregate turnover? Already we have discussed in registration chapter. On pan-India basis, the turnover, correct? The sales made by you, whether it is taxable, non-taxable, exempt, intrastate, interstate, exports, all the stuff, excluding the inward supplies covered under RCM. We had a discussion about this aggregate turnover in registration chapter. So any registered person whose aggregate turnover not exceeding 150 lakhs can opt for composition scheme. But if you are located in special category state, then the limit is 75 lakhs. The limit is 75 lakhs. What are special category states? For the purpose of section 22 registration, special category states are only 4: Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Nagaland. But for the purpose of section 10, special category states are different.
Stunning, ma'am.
To remember that, you can just remember this code: stunning ma'am. Ma'am spelling is not M-A-M, it is M-A-M-M. S for Sikkim, T for Tripura, U for Uttarakhand, N for Nagaland, M for Manipur, A for Assam, M for Mizoram, M for Meghalaya. Sorry, A for Arunachal Pradesh, not Assam. Here, normally we know the northeastern states are what? Special category states. So we have 11 special category states in Northeast. Out of that 11, 8 are covered here. So for these people, 75 lakhs is the threshold limit. If your business is in Sikkim, for you, if you want to go for composition scheme, what is the threshold limit? Aggregate turnover should not exceed 75 lakhs. If you are in Tamil Nadu, what is the threshold limit? 150 lakhs.
150 lakhs.
Right? Yes. Suppose, sir, there are special category states like Himachal Pradesh, Assam, Jammu and Kashmir. For that, they may be special category states for other different purpose. But for GST purpose, for section 10 purpose, they are not special category. They are only like coming under 150 slab. Remaining special category states, stunning ma'am. So in that, whatever is written in capital, that alone represent the state name. Sikkim, Tripura, Uttarakhand, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Meghalaya, A for Arunachal Pradesh. Shall we proceed? So, when I am eligible for composition? If my aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year, listen carefully, if my aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year, that means the last financial year, has not exceeded the threshold limit, has not exceeded the threshold limit. What is the threshold limit? Sir, for normal states and Hajj, normal states plus Hajj. In special category states, there are 11 states, no. Out of that, only 8 states will come under 75 lakhs. Remaining 3 states, what are the remaining 3 states for which 150 lakhs are applicable now? Remember the word Hajj. HAJ, Himachal Pradesh, Assam, Jammu and Kashmir. Here it is 150 lakhs. Remember, except standing, ma'am, everything is 150 lakhs. Clear? Okay. So please understand, for computing aggregate turnover, what should I take? I should consider taxable supplies, non-taxable supplies, exempt supplies, exports, intrastate, interstate, everything. But please understand, I'm a person doing business. I have a fixed deposit in the bank. And I am getting interest from the bank, interest on fixed deposits. I am getting interest on fixed deposits. Please switch on the videos. Whoever can switch on, please switch on the videos. So I am receiving interest from fixed deposit from the bank. That means bank is paying me consideration. Yes or no? Because I am allowing bank to use my money. So bank is paying me interest. That means I am the supplier, bank is the recipient. Are you able to understand? That means, is it my sale or not? Is it my sale or not? Yes. But section 10 says, for the purpose of section 10, always ignore this transaction. Always ignore this transaction. What transaction? Interest or discount earned by you by way of extending loans or advances or deposits. Are you clear? What is the thumb rule, my dear friends? What is the thumb rule? The thumb rule is interest or discount earned because you have extended some loans or advances or deposits. That income you always ignore. For what purpose? For section 10. Either for calculating threshold limit liability or whether for calculating the tax payment, tax liability, for all these things, anything for section 10. If you are doing section 10, always ignore one thing. What is that? Income received by way of interest or discount because of extending loans, advances or deposits. Am I clear? Am I clear? Right. Okay. What is the validity of composition scheme, my dear friends? What is the validity of composition scheme? Only 1 year. Not even 1 year. Maximum 1 year, I will say. Because it is based upon what? Whether you are eligible for composition scheme is whether you are eligible for composition scheme or not is based upon what? Based
Turnover
upon
of preceding year.
your aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year. Your aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year. Fine. So every financial year, what should I see? Like, what is the aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year? If it has not exceeded 150 lakh, current financial year I can enjoy. Current financial year I can enjoy composition scheme benefit. Composition scheme benefit. Is that clear? Is that clear? So for financial year 2021, for financial year 2021, whether I'm eligible for composition scheme or not depends upon the aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year. Preceding, whether I'm eligible for 2021 or not, that depends upon 1920 turnover.
1920. Okay.
1920, I didn't start business at all. 2021 only I started business. Then
Eligible for composition.
so that means aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year is 0, which is less than or equal to 150 lakhs.
Yes.
We are very much eligible. So we are very much eligible. Those who have not switched on the videos, at least keep responding by unmuting yourself. Same way for 21-22, I should check 20-21 aggregate turnover. Again for 22-23, I should check 21-22 turnover. 23-24, I should check 22-23 turnover. Clear? Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay, sir, fine. You are eligible for composition scheme. What is the benefit? You are eligible for composition scheme and you are opting. Is it compulsory? Is it mandatory?
Optional, sir.
Optional.
It is optional. It is optional. So please understand, it is optional and I have opted. If I have opted for composition scheme, what is the benefit now? What is the benefit now? Please understand. Composition scheme is available only to people dealing with goods. Composition scheme is available only to the people dealing with goods. That means you are either a manufacturer or trader. For you, the scheme is available. And it is also available to one more person. Who is he? Who is he? Restaurant service provider. Restaurant service provider. For any other service provider, is this scheme available?
No, sir.
Under section 10, subsection 1, it is not available, but there is one more subsection. Do you remember? 10 subsection 2A. There is section 10, subsection 2A, which is exclusively for service providers. That we will discuss after this. So tell me, section 10, subsection 1, it is available to whom? People dealing with goods and restaurant service providers. It is manufacturer of goods or trader of goods or restaurant service provider. If you are a manufacturer of food and if you are under composition scheme, the advantage is you need not pay GST at normal rates. You need not pay GST at normal rates given in section 9, subsection 1. You need not pay at 12%, 18% or whatever. You can pay tax at just 1%. 0.5% CGST, 0.5% SGST on the turnover made by you. On the turnover made by you. If you are a
Composite.
manufacturer, if you are a manufacturer going for composition. Clear? If you are a trader, that means you are just buying and selling goods. Then again 0.5% CGST,
Again
0.5% SGST. On what? On what?
Turnover.
Taxable turnover.
On taxable turnover. On taxable turnover. Yeah, that is what the difference. It means I am a manufacturer. I am selling both the taxable goods and exempt goods. What the law says, Vishnu, you pay 1% GST, 0.5% CGST, 0.5% SGST on total turnover. Sir, I am also selling some exempt goods, some non-taxable goods. Still, because you are a manufacturer, please pay on total turnover. Please pay on total turnover 1%. Sir, if I am a trader, just a trader buying and selling the goods, then pay 1% only on taxable turnover. You may be selling exempt goods also. I am not asking you to pay tax on exempt goods. Pay 1%, 0.5% CGST, 0.5% SGST on taxable turnover. Taxable turnover. Is it clear? If I am a restaurant service provider opting for composition scheme, then
2.5%, 2.5%
2.5% GST, 2.5% GST on total turnover. Total turnover.
total turnover.
This taxable turnover relaxation is given to whom?
Traders.
Only trader of goods. Only trader of goods. Taxable turnover relaxation is given only to traders. Trader of goods. Remaining fellows has to pay composition rate tax on total turnover. On total turnover at a rate of 1% or 5% for restaurant service providers. Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed? Now understood what is the benefit of composition scheme? The benefit of composition scheme is need not pay GST at normal rates under section 9, subsection 1. You can go with the composition rates which are given under section 10, subsection 1. For manufacturer, 1% of the turnover. For trader, it is 1% of the taxable turnover. For restaurant service providers, 5% of total turnover. Exactly. Yes. Is that clear? Is that clear? Now my doubt is, sir, I have a unit in Tamil Nadu. I have a unit in Karnataka. I have a unit in Andhra Pradesh. How should I calculate the turnover? Should I take the turnover from all the 3 states to compute whether I am eligible for composition scheme or not? Should I compute the turnover from all the states?
State-wise, sir. Not
State-wise.
State-wise, sir.
I am saying whether I am eligible for composition scheme or not. Should I check state-wise is not my question. Turnover, how should I compute? Should I take all the 3 states turnover or state-wise turnover?
State-wise.
Aggregate turnover means pan-India basis. From Tamil Nadu, what I will see, what is the turnover in Tamil Nadu, what is the turnover in Karnataka, what is the turnover in Andhra Pradesh. Aggregate turnover, pan-India basis turnover I will see. And if at all it is exceeding 150 lakhs, I am not eligible for composition scheme. Not eligible in which state?
All the states. All the states.
Obviously, all the states, because from Tamil Nadu, if you see the turnover on pan India basis, if it is 178 lakhs, from Karnataka also that will be the same 178 lakhs.
Yes, sir.
Andhra Pradesh also same 178 lakhs. That means you are not eligible in any of the states, correct?
Yes.
You are not eligible for any of the states. Are you clear? Are you clear on this? Now the doubt is, you are having business in one normal state and a branch in one special category state. Let us assume Sikkim. Now, what is the threshold limit? Let us assume I am in Karnataka and Sikkim, two states. From Karnataka, when I am seeing it is 150 lakhs. From Sikkim, when I am calculating, it is 75 lakhs. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
No. In both cases, it is 75 lakhs.
75 lakhs.
75 lakhs.
Why? Because please understand, listen carefully. From Karnataka, if I see the limit is 150 lakhs, okay. I will see it is 143 lakhs total turnover. Let us assume 143 lakhs. Now, from Karnataka, whether I am eligible for composition scheme? Yes. I have a
Yes.
separate registration in Karnataka. That registration is eligible for composition scheme. If you see from Sikkim point of view, what is the aggregate turnover?
75 lakhs.
What is the aggregate turnover?
143.
Same 143 lakhs. Same 143
Okay.
lakhs. What is the threshold limit for Sikkim?
75 lakhs.
75. So from Sikkim registration, can I go for composition scheme? No,
Oh.
I cannot go. Correct. Karnataka is eligible. Sikkim is not eligible for composition. Correct?
Yes.
Section 10 says, if you have multiple registrations, you cannot go with composition scheme for one registration and normal scheme for another registration. You cannot do that. The law says if everybody going with composition scheme, okay, fine. Or everybody going with normal scheme, fine. One fellow going with composition scheme, one fellow going with normal scheme, it is not allowed. It means indirectly what is happening. When you have a unit or registration in one particular state and another unit in a special category state, one in normal state, the other in special category state, what is the threshold limit to decide whether you are eligible for composition scheme or not?
75 lakhs.
Straight away 75. Straight away 75. Am I clear?
Yes.
So we have discussed the rates, correct? And the stunning ma'am full form also we have seen. So what are those states? Sikkim, Tripura, Uttarakhand, Nagaland, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, for which the 75 limit is applicable. We have discussed the rates also. Normally, what is the tax payable, guys, for manufacture of goods?
1%.
1%.
1% of what?
Total turnover.
Total
Total
turnover.
turnover. Half percent CGST, half percent
Turnover.
SGST. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Next, for trader of goods,
1% of taxable
1%
turnover.
out of
1%
tax.
of taxable
1%
turnover.
of taxable turnover. But for restaurant service provider,
5% of
5%
total
5%
turnover.
of total turnover.
total turnover. Right? Yes. Okay. Can you please tell answers for this? Mr. Iron Man is into business of selling iron and steel in Tamil Nadu. So for the financial year 21-22, this is the data. What is the threshold limit for registration in Tamil Nadu if you are dealing with goods?
150.
You remember?
40 lakhs.
40 lakhs.
40 lakhs.
Right. So from 1st April to 14th September, he made a turnover 40 lakhs. He became liable for registration and got registered. 15th September to 31st March, he made a turnover of 108 lakhs. And he paid tax under normal scheme, section 9 subsection. First year he is eligible for composition scheme, but he didn't go with composition scheme. He went with normal scheme. paid tax under section 9 subsection 1. So what is the turnover that he made? 108 lakhs. He also received an interest income for the financial year 21-22, 3,80,000. With this data, you tell me whether he is eligible for composition scheme for the financial year 22-23.
Yes.
So what is the aggregate turnover here?
1,48 lakhs.
Why? Because you didn't. I already told you what is the thumb rule, my dear friends. What is the thumb rule?
Total turnover does not include the interest.
Section 10. For section 10, always ignore.
For section 10. For section 10.
Always
Interest.
ignore interest income or
Interest
discount income
income.
and by way of extending loans, advances or deposits. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So yes, for 22-23 is very much eligible for composition scheme. What is the answer for this? Here there is a small twist in the concept. When you opt for composition scheme, you have to pay tax at what rates? Composition rates. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But this benefit is available. This benefit is available only till
You cross
that current financial year the aggregate touches the threshold limit. Once your aggregate turnover in the current financial year in which you have opted for a composition scheme has exceeded the threshold limit, now you will automatically thrown out of composition scheme. You should come out of composition scheme and start paying tax at normal rates.
Okay.
That is why I gave their normal tax rate 1%. Right? So now what is the answer? So up to 150 lakhs, it is section 10 composition scheme 1%. But for remaining 33 lakhs, normal scheme, section 9, 33 lakhs into 12%, 3 lakh 96,000. So total tax liability for that year is 5 lakh 46,000. Gayatri, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Others who gave the wrong answer, is it clear? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
So that means you can enjoy composition scheme benefit in the current financial year only up to the threshold limit. If your threshold limit is 75 lakhs, you can enjoy only till 75 lakhs. If your threshold limit is 150 lakhs, you can enjoy till 150 lakhs.
Sir,
Traded
so
notes,
this
sir.
scenario will be applied only when at the time when the composition, I mean the limit exceeds that 150 lakhs, right, sir?
Sorry.
This scenario will apply only if the threshold at the time where the threshold limit exceeds that 150 limit. At that time, only for that particular month, we will be paying like
From
this
that,
bifurcated.
from that point only, we will start paying at normal rate. From that point.
Okay. For that
It's
month,
like only excess.
till 150 lakhs, we will
It
be
is
able
not
to.
about month. It is about when your composition scheme ends. Your composition scheme ends when you touch 150 lakhs or when you touch 75 lakhs. So till that turnover, you pay composition rate. For remaining balance, you pay tax at normal rate.
On remaining balance, we can collect GST first.
It is like now, see, in composition scheme, you cannot collect tax from customer. You cannot avail ITC. Once you come out of composition scheme, yes, you can collect tax from customer. You can avail ITC. Remaining things will hold you. Yes, correct. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear? So hope you have remembered, like you are still able to recollect the provisions of composition scheme, like you cannot collect tax, you cannot avail ITC, all the stuff. Yes, very good. So obviously, when you come out of composition scheme, there is no point of no collection of tax, no ITC, all this stuff will not apply. You can happily collect tax from the customer, you can avail ITC. Yeah, so that is what the point there. Now, so tell me whether service providers are eligible for composition scheme. Whether service providers are eligible for composition scheme? Obviously, no. Obviously, no. As per section 10, subsection 1, correct? Only restaurant service providers are eligible. So there was a discrimination between people dealing with goods and services. So the government came up with an amendment later on, and they have inserted a subsection called subsection 2A, where they started providing this composition scheme benefit even for service providers, even for service providers. Is that clear? So section 10 subsection 2A deals with composition scheme benefit for service providers exclusively engaged in services other than restaurant services. So if you have restaurant service, you can enjoy that 150-75 lakhs benefit. You can go with section 10 subsection 1. But for other service providers, like you are a chartered accountant in practice. So for you, what is the threshold limit applicable if you want to go for composition scheme? It is 50 lakhs. So for people dealing with services, what is the threshold limit, my dear friends? 50 lakhs. What is the tax rate? Composition tax rate? 6%, 3% CGST, 3% SGST. Is that clear? And do you remember, if you are in composition scheme under section 10 subsection 1, you can provide some marginal supply of services, 10%.
Yes, sir.
Recollect that? So
Yes.
normally 10 subsection 1, what I am dealing with goods. And when I am in composition scheme under section 10 subsection 1, I cannot provide services other than restaurant services. But if I am dealing with goods, let us assume I am selling watches, I am selling mobile phones. Tomorrow, if there is any repair, what the customer will do? Customer will come to me. I will provide services. But if you are providing services, you are ineligible for composition scheme. Correct?
Yes.
So later on, what they did, the law got amended, saying that okay, no problem. Even though you are in composition scheme under section 10 subsection
10
1,
1.
you are allowed to provide a small amount of services. How much? 10% of your turnover. Clear? 10% of your turnover in the preceding financial year, whatever is there, that much services, that much worth services you can provide happily. It is given to 10 subsection 1, but for 10 subsection 2A, no such requirement, because here fully services only. Clear? Shall we proceed? Right. Okay. So have you understood the difference between 10.1 and 10.2A? 10.1, people dealing with goods and restaurant service providers. 10.2A is for all the service providers except the restaurant service providers. Clear, guys? There the threshold limit is 150 lakhs and 75 lakhs. Here the threshold limit is 50 lakhs. Here the GST rates are 1%, 1%, 3%. Here the GST rate is 6%. Clear? Shall we proceed? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Hope you remember the conditions. Hope you remember the conditions for availing composition scheme benefit.
Yes, sir.
Let us quickly recollect them. So, what are the conditions, my dear friends? What are the conditions? You should not be dealing with any non-taxable good, non-taxable supply. Sir, I am having a bar and restaurant. Can I go for composition scheme? Can I go for composition scheme for my restaurant? No, because you are supplying liquor which is non-taxable. Is that clear? Is that clear? So, if you are dealing with non-taxable supplies, you cannot go for composition scheme. Next, what is the next condition, my dear friends? What is the next condition?
In invoice, they have.
You cannot make interstate outward supplies. You cannot make interstate outward supplies. Sir, can I make interstate inward supplies? You can purchase from outside the state, but you cannot sell outside the state. Is it clear? You can purchase outside the state, but you cannot sell outside the state. Am I clear? Am I clear? Shall we proceed? Right. Next, you should not be manufacturer of ice cream, pan masala, tobacco, and aerated waters. Sir, can I be a trader of pan masala? Yes, you can behave like a Shah Rukh Khan or Akshay Kumar or Ajay Devgan, but you shall not behave like a manufacturer of Vimal pan masala. Clear? You can be the trader, but you cannot be the manufacturer. And if you are a casual taxable person or a non-resident taxable person, can you go for composition scheme benefit? Can you go for composition scheme benefit?
No,
So
sir.
if you are a casual taxable person or a non-resident taxable person, you cannot go with composition scheme. Is that clear? Is that clear, my dear friends? 1 second. Is it clear? So if you are a casual taxable person or a non-resident taxable person, you cannot go for composition scheme. So fine, these are the major conditions. You should not be dealing with non-taxable goods, non-taxable supplies. You should not make interstate outward supplies. Now you will get a doubt. Sir, when we were discussing aggregate turnover, you said you include intrastate supplies, interstate supply, exports, all the stuff. That is preceding financial year. That we will see for deciding the eligibility. Once you are eligible for composition scheme and you start opting composition scheme, you don't make outside the state sales. Sir, I have customers outside the state that don't go for composition scheme. Simple. Yeah. So composition scheme will come with a benefit. Same way composition scheme will come with certain restrictions also. Whether you want to follow it or not, that is your will and wish, because composition scheme is purely optional, it is not mandatory. Right? So that's the story there. Okay, you cannot make interstate outward supplies. Can I make interstate inward supplies?
Yes.
You should not be manufacturer of certain notified products like pan masala, ice cream, tobacco, and aerated waters. Can I be the trader of those things?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And you should not be a casual taxable person or non-resident taxable person. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Next. So those are the conditions there. And do you remember the thumb rule, my dear friends? Something related to interest discount. Yes or no? What is the thumb rule for interest and discount? For section 10, you just forget it.
Okay.
Question related to section 10 and they gave any adjustment related to interest income or discount income, straight away ignore it. Shall we proceed? So what is the answer for this? Can you please let me know what is the answer for this? So let us understand what is the mistake done by you. First of all, just like same story before, the entire turnover for the year is how much? 183 lakhs. Did he opt for composition scheme? Yes. When he has opted for composition scheme, will come out of composition scheme when?
After
Once he touches the threshold limit, that is 150 lakhs.
150 lakhs. Yes, sir.
Now, on that 150 lakhs, you should have paid GST on composition rates, correct? Remaining 33 lakhs, normal rates. But when he made that 150 lakh turnover, for the first 20 lakhs, he was not registered. That means he was not a taxable person. He need not pay tax. That means that first initial 20 lakhs where he was not registered, that 20 lakhs you will consider for what? You will consider for how long he is eligible for composition scheme. But that 20 lakhs you will not consider for a GST payment. Are you able to understand? When you will come out of composition scheme, when your aggregate turnover touches 150 lakhs. For deciding that, what is my aggregate turnover? From 1st April, whatever I did, that is my aggregate turnover. Correct? But when I am paying tax, why will I pay tax for the first 20 lakhs? I was not at all registered, not that time. So please understand. He started the business and it went for 20 lakhs. He became liable for registration. At that time, he is not at all a taxable person. So GST liability is 0. And from that date till he touches 150 lakhs, he was under composition scheme. So what is the turnover made by him during that period? 130 lakhs. Aggregate turnover is 150 lakhs. But 130 lakhs alone, he made turnover as a taxable person. That into 1%. That into 1%. Next, after that, so obviously he will come out of composition scheme. So balance 33 lakhs alone, he has to pay tax at normal rate 12%. Hope it is clear. Yes or no? Shalini, is that clear? Others, those who have given the wrong answer. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shall we proceed? Hope it is clear for you. Huh? So that is what the story of composition scheme. Am I clear, my dear friends?
Sir,
So almost
can you explain the answer again, sir?
Ashish.
For first 20 lakhs, I did not collect tax only, sir. So next 1.5 CR, I'll pay 1%, sir. Remaining 13 lakhs, I'll pay 12%.
That is what I said. That is what I said. To decide till how long you are eligible for composition scheme. From April 1st, whatever you did, that we will calculate.
Okay, sir.
From April 1st, whenever you reach 150 lakhs, till 150 lakhs, you will get composition scheme benefit. That means that turnover what you did when you are a non-taxable person, that turnover will also be considered for what? To decide how long you are eligible for composition scheme. But that turnover will not be taken into account for calculating GST liability because you are a non-taxable person that time.
Yes, sir.
Clear? So 150 lakhs, I should see from April 1st.
Understood, sir. Understood, sir.
Clear? Shall we go to others?
Yes, sir.
That is what chapter number 3 charge. Already we have discussed the charging section 9 in the previous class, and section 10 whatever the key points are there we have already just now we have discussed it, right? That is what all about composition scheme. Fine. Okay guys, so in tomorrow's lecture we'll discuss returns, important exemptions, and of course amendments. Clear? So please make sure whatever we have discussed today you are revising. I'll share the PDFs of this chapter number 2 and 3. So make sure you are revising without fail, right? So see you all in tomorrow's lecture, tomorrow morning 9 o'clock. Till then, this is your CA Vishnu. Thank you. Jai.
Thank you.